Welcome to Commerce and Culture. Thank you for stopping by. This video is especially dedicated as a celebration of our channel achieving 100,000 views. The Blue Angels are a flight demonstration squadron of the United States Navy. Formed in 1946, the unit is the second oldest formal aerobatic team in the world, after the French Patrouille de France, formed in 1931. The team, composed of 6 Navy and 1 Marine Corps demonstration pilots, fly Boeing FA-18 Super Hornets. As of November 2011, the Blue Angels received $37 million annually from the annual Department of Defense budget. The mission of the United States Navy Flight Demonstration Squadron then was to showcase the pride and professionalism of the United States Navy and Marine Corps by inspiring a culture of excellence in service to the country through flight demonstrations and community outreach. History overview. In 1946, the Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Chester Nimitz, had a vision to create a flight exhibition team in order to raise the public's interest in naval aviation and boost Navy morale, demonstrate naval air power, and maintain public interest in naval aviation. An underlying mission was to help the Navy generate public and political support for a larger allocation of the shrinking defense budget. Rear Admiral Ralph Davison personally selected Lieutenant Commander Roy Marlin Butch Voris, a World War II fighter ace, to assemble and train a flight demonstration team, naming him officer in charge and flight leader. Voris selected 3 fellow instructors to join him: Lieutenant Maurice Wickendall, Lieutenant Mel Cassidy, and Lieutenant Commander Lloyd Barnard, veterans of the war in the Pacific, and they spent countless hours developing the show. The group perfected its initial maneuvers in secret over the Florida Everglades so that, in Voris' words, if anything happened, just the alligators would know. The first 4 pilots and those after them were and are some of the best and most experienced aviators in the Navy. The first Blue Angels demonstration aircraft were navy blue or nearly black blue with gold lettering. The current shades of blue and yellow were adopted when the first demonstration aircraft were transitioned from the Grumman F-6F-5 Hellcat to the Grumman F-8F-1 Bearcat in August 1946. The aircraft wore an all-yellow scheme with blue markings during the 1949 show season. The original Blue Angels insignia or crest was designed in 1949 by Lieutenant Commander Raleigh Dusty Rhodes, their 3rd flight leader and 1st jet fighter leader. This was later redesigned to the current insignia. The aircraft silhouettes change as the team changes aircraft. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel. It helps us to bring more videos like this for you. The Blue Angels transitioned from propeller-driven aircraft to the blue and gold Grumman F-9 F-2B Panther jet aircraft in August 1949. Blue Angels demonstration teams began with wearing leather jackets and special colored flight suits with the Blue Angels insignia in 1952. By 1953, they began wearing gold-colored flight suits for the first show of the season and/or to commemorate milestones for the flight demonstration squadron. During the 1950s, F-9 Cougar and F-11 Tiger were inducted into the team and introduced the first 6-plane Delta formation, still flown to this day. By the end of the 1960s, these were replaced by the F-4 Phantom, the only 2-seat aircraft flown by the Delta formation. The team's first demonstration with Grumman F-6F-5 Hellcat aircraft took place before Navy officials on May 10, 1946, and was met with enthusiastic approval. The Blue Angels performed their first public flight demonstration from their first training base and team headquarters at Naval Air Station Jacksonville, Florida, on the 15th and the 16th of June 1946, with 3 F-6F-5 Hellcats. A 4th F-6F-5 was held in reserve. The Blue Angels' first public demonstration also netted the team its first trophy, which sits on display at the team's current home at Naval Air Station Pensacola. During an air show at Omaha, Nebraska on 19–21 July 1946, the Navy flight exhibition team was introduced as the Blue Angels. The name had originated through a suggestion by right-wing pilot Lieutenant Maurice Wickendall, after he had read about the Blue Angel nightclub in the New Yorker magazine. After 10 appearances with the Hellcats, the Hellcats were replaced by the lighter, faster, and more powerful F-8 F-1 Bearcats on August 25. By the end of the year, the team consisted of 4 Bearcats numbered 1 to 4 on the tail sections. In May 1947, the team with an additional 5th pilot relocated to Naval Air Station Corpus Christi, Texas. On June 7 at Birmingham, Alabama, 4 F-8 F-1 Bearcats, numbered 1 to 4, flew in diamond formation for the first time, which is now considered the Blue Angels trademark. A 5th Bearcat was also added that year. In 1949, it became necessary for the Blue Angels to operate a support aircraft to move personnel and equipment between show sites. These support aircraft, including the Douglas R-4D Skytrain, the Curtiss R-5C Commando, the Douglas R-5D Skymaster, and the Lockheed C-121 Super Constellation. In 1970, the Blues received their first U.S. Marine Corps Lockheed Martin KC-130F Hercules, affectionately known as Fat Albert. The aircraft was manned by an all-Marine crew. The Fat Albert was retired from service in May 2019 with 30,000 flight hours. The Blue Angels replaced it with an XRAF C-130J Super Hercules while inheriting the Fat Albert call sign. Despite its size, the KC-130F Hercules is a short takeoff and landing aircraft, or STOL. One striking feature of Fat Albert is its JATO, or jet-assisted takeoff. The Blue Angels pilots continued to perform nationwide in 1950. On June 25, the Korean War started, and all Blue Angels pilots volunteered for combat duty. The squadron and its members were ordered to combat-ready status after an exhibition at Naval Air Station, Dallas, Texas on July 30th. The Blue Angels were disbanded, and its pilots were reassigned to a carrier. On October 25, 1951, the Blues were ordered to reactivate as a flight demonstration team, and reported to Naval Air Station Corpus Christi, Texas. Lieutenant Commander Voris was tasked with assembling the team again. In May 1952, the Blue Angels began performing again with F-9 F-5 Panthers at an air show in Memphis, Tennessee. In 1953, the team traded its Skytrain for a Curtiss R-5C Commando. In August, Blues leader Lieutenant Commander Ray Hawkins became the first naval aviator to survive an ejection at supersonic speeds when a new F-9 F-6 he was piloting became uncontrollable on a cross-country flight. In 1957, the Blue Angels transitioned from the F-9 F-8 Cougar to the supersonic Grumman F-11 F-1 Tiger. The first demonstration was flying the short-nosed version on March 23 at Bayron Field, Pensacola, and then the long-nosed versions. The demonstration team, with added Angel 6, wore gold flight suits during the first air show that season. In 1968, the C-54 Skymaster transport aircraft was replaced with a Lockheed VC-121J Constellation. The Blues transitioned to the two-seat McDonnell Douglas F-4J Phantom II in 1969, nearly always keeping the backseat empty for flight demonstrations. The Phantom was the only plane to be flown by both the Blues and the United States Air Force Thunderbirds. That year they also upgraded to the Lockheed C-121 Super Constellation for logistics. In 1972, the Blue Angels were awarded the Navy's Meritorious Unit Commendation for the two-year period from March 1, 1970 to December 31, 1971. The Navy Flight Exhibition Team was reorganized and commissioned the United States Navy Flight Demonstration Squadron on December 10, 1973. The Blues transitioned to the new Douglas A-4F Skyhawk II in 1974. Also, in 1974, a permanent flight surgeon position and administration officer was added to the team. On November 8, 1986, the Blue Angels completed their 40th anniversary year during ceremonies unveiling what would be their aircraft through their 75th anniversary year, the McDonnell Douglas FA-18 Hornet. The power and aerodynamics of the Hornet allows them to perform a slow, high angle of attack tail-sitting maneuver, and to fly a dirty or landing gear down formation loop. A record of sorts was made in 1998, when Commander Patrick Driscoll made the first Blue Jet landing on a Hayes Gray and underway aircraft carrier, USS Harry S. Truman. Tragedy struck on October 8, 1999, when the Blue Angels lost two pilots. Lieutenant Commander Kieran O'Connor and Lieutenant Kevin Colling were returning from a practice flight before an air show when their FA-18B crashed in a wooded area of South Georgia. Disaster struck again on April 21, 2007, when pilot Kevin Kojak Davis was killed and 8 people on the ground were injured when Davis lost control of the No. 6 jet and crashed due to G-force-induced loss of consciousness, GLOC, during an air show at the Marine Corps Air Station Beaufort in Beaufort, South Carolina. A milestone was achieved in 2009, when the Blue Angels were inducted into the International Air and Space Hall of Fame at the San Diego Air and Space Museum. On May 22, 2011, the Blue Angels were performing at the Lynchburg Regional Air Show in Lynchburg, Virginia, when the Diamond Formation flew the barrel roll brake maneuver at an altitude lower than the required minimum. The maneuver was aborted, the remainder of the demonstration cancelled, and all aircraft landed safely. The next day, the Blue Angels announced that they were initiating a safety stand-down, canceling their upcoming Naval Academy Air Show and returning to their home base in Pensacola, Florida, for additional training and airshow practice. History was made in July 2014. Marine Corps C-130 pilot Captain Katie Higgins, 27, became the first female pilot to join the Blue Angels, flying the support aircraft Fat Albert for the 2015 and 2016 show seasons. The Blues officially transitioned to Boeing FA-18EF Super Hornets on November 4, 2020, and celebrated their 75th anniversary. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.